Future State, Legion of Superheroes, Issue 2, Brian Michael Bendis, and Riley Rosmo.
I need the drink first.
This is obviously Connor is reading this one, so
I posted the first page on Twitter, just as a heads up of what I do for Patreon. You know, if people pay me to read a book, this is the sort of shite they can make me read. Because this first page, oh boy, turns out it's just a recap, and I was very grateful. As much as it's so much text, I was grateful for what it was, because I remember being very confused by the first issue and what was actually going on. Because I weirdly think this recap does a better job of telling me what actually happened in the first issue than the first issue did. Because I remember being very confused as to what the conflict was all about in the first issue and why they were at war and why they were kind of splintered in the way they were. And this recap page tells me it was basically Element Lad led his people in an attack across all the different planets of the United Planets. They attacked all of them at once. And the idea is that, they transmute all the elements, so they couldn't come back from it. And that was, what put them at odds with each other. And I did not get that in the first issue at all. I was very confused. Whereas this here just has Charles Tane, which I think is the bouncing guy.
Bouncing boy.
There you go. Bouncing boy. I think it's him narrating this. And then it jumps right back into just the big fight that left it off, which was basically the mostly reformed Legion as we left it last time versus Element Lad. And he's taking a lot of them out. There's a whole thing where it's hopping through him using different elements on them, and I don't know what all of them are. I'll be honest. This is periodic table knowledge that I have forgotten over the years. Na, which is sodium.
Yes.
Yep. So he uses sodium on one of them, which sodium's like salt, right?
No, well, salt is sodium chloride, NaCl.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like he's putting them in like a box of ice almost with the Na, and then Fe is iron. I want to say
that's iron.
That is iron.
Yes.
Yeah.
I only remember that one because it's so weird. Because most of the elements it's like, okay, hydrogen's H. This is just the first couple of letters, and then you get to iron and it's Fe.
Yeah.
The gold is AU.
Yeah. So you have him using iron on one of them and just shatters one. He uses H2O on one, which I'm assuming is someone who has electricity powers because they kind of start like frying themselves. And then HG, I forget what HG is. Anyone want to jump in?
Mercury.
Okay, so that's that. I presume Mercury's really heavy, right? That's
well, it's liquid at room temperature, which is the only metal to do that. So
but it's really dense, from what I know of Mercury. Yeah. So that's why he's using that to push them down, and then he uses H, which is of course hydrogen, to blast a bunch of them off. Yeah. Actually, I think he uses that to blast himself off to escape. Which I'll grant it, this is an inventive page. Because you have most of those are going down the page. So you have like Na, then Fe, then H2O, then Hg going down the page in these like sub panels across, and then you have the rest of the pages. And then it points. All of these are pointing downwards with arrows, and then H pointing upwards as he blasts off. It's a relatively inventive layout. And then what I will actually credit is the layout of the following page. Is he's running away, but it kind of goes around. It snakes around the page, but it's constantly in like a bunch of it probably takes place over about 8 different panels, give or take. But the background never changes. It's just this is the static layout of where the page is, but the characters move through it. Even though the background should really be moving, because it's like he's on a ship and then he's falling off a ship is one of the points. But the way it kind of does flow through is actually really solid sequential storytelling. And by splitting it up into various panels, and by that I just mean they put a border around it. It doesn't actually, because the background is exactly the same. They just put a border around it to separate this moment rather than the other. and it does give it this really solid flow. So I will give it credit there as he escapes. But then the rest of the issue, basically, Imra goes into their mind and discovers that it wasn't Element Lad and his people at all that really did this. I mean, technically it was, but it wasn't their free will. It was her people, the Titanians, that used their psychic abilities to influence them all to do it without them realizing. And they sent her to the Legion in the first place because she was too much of a free spirit and couldn't be trusted in the hive mind. So they got to get some distance from her. And they used her as basically the inside man to kind of infiltrate everything and get all the information. And then they kind of took over Element Lad and all the others of his entire race. They used, through their powers, used them to kind of engineer this war, but no one knew. So they were still, then they became this like galactic civil war basically. But it was all them. I'm not sure for what purpose. I don't know why. It's very unclear as to why. And then they're going to recruit Rock on Daxam. I'm not sure. Again, another problem I have with this book, it never once does the pop-up panels of telling me who they are, what their superhero name is. So Matt, help me out here. Who's Rock?
I have to be as ROKK.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm trying to remember because there's Rock and Block. Let me look. Because I'm not sure.
I just thought you might know, being aware of Legion stuff.
Oh no, that's Cosmic Boy. That's Rock Kryn.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is Cosmic Boy, who has a history with Imra, but hates her now for whatever reason. And they're like trying to recruit him back into being in the Legion and help out with this because it wasn't Element Lad after all. There's more going on. We need your help. And then they have through Imra have a psychic battle with the Titanians.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of inventive layouts. It's very psychedelic. I don't hate these layouts. I really like the lettering again. It uses this red lettering for Imra and this blue lettering for the rest of the Titanian hive mind. And it's not in boxes. There's no narration box. It's like really free form lettering. Really well done, actually. I'll give it credit for that. And there's one point where the Titanians, go like, "You have no right," is the line, but it's bigger and it's bolder and it jumps off the page at you. Really solid lettering work of just like even without this, functional form of boxes or bubbles, it gives you the context of what this is and how it and the tone. So that is really effective. But basically, they kind of shut them down, and then as she comes back out of the psychic plane into the real world, John Kent is there now again, and I feel like this is where I missed something, and maybe this is where it picks up off the end of the actual run. I might be wrong here, but it feels like it is because she's like, "Oh, John, you're back," and he's just like, "Did it work?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm here, but not there, so thank you." And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on anymore. I feel like I missed a massive chunk of story. But John's there in some weird helmet with a visor. I don't know if this is recognizable to either of you who read Legion at all. Or maybe it's exclusive to this book. I don't actually know.
So say that again.
John has like this weird look where, as well as the his suit going up to his neck, it goes up over his head and has like a visor that comes down, as these gold like earpieces that are almost Flash-esque.
That's new to me.
Okay, right. Because like I said, this feels so disconnected from everything else in the book because John Kent's suddenly here and he hasn't been here in these 2 issues at all.
Right.
And she's just like, "Oh, you're back," and he's like, "Did it work?" And I'm like, did I really miss something here? Like, I feel like I missed something in the main run. Like, I don't know. And then they're just like, "Yeah, all right, well, job's a good one. Long live the Legion." And that's it. And I'm like, well, what? What happened? I really don't know. I will say I will give this a higher rate than the last one. I still don't like most of the art. I don't like the actual visuals of the art. I don't like the faces. I don't like the bodies. All of that Rosmo stuff that I tends to dislike. But I do think in this issue, at least, Rosmer has some really good layouts. I mentioned that one earlier. I think he has another good one where Saturn Girl has a really oblong head helmet in this. I think it is a helmet specifically. I don't know if she usually has it this oblong. I don't recognize it. But
No.
it's like there's like a few panels which are like set within her helmet piece that are oblong, and it has this nice look to it that goes over the page because of this layout. So I'll give it credit for that. I still think the story's a mess. I have no idea what's going on. I think it's terrible that it doesn't tell me who any of the characters are, especially as a future state book, let alone as a continuation of Legion, which, from my knowledge, typically does tell you who the characters are in a lot of issues. But it still does that horrible thing where the opening of the issue is all in alien text and it doesn't translate it for you, so you have no idea what it's saying. Again, from context, I think it is mostly just the future state text of this is spinning out of death metal, that whole text bubble which at the start of most of them. But then there's a second bubble and of all this alien speech. I have no idea what it says, and that's just frustrating. I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it feels the need. Yeah. So I'd give it higher than the last issue, but I still think it's not a good issue. So I'll give it a 4.